Hi there, I'm Stevie Fernandez.
And I'm Trish Whitmer. It's great to see you once again stopping in for another episode of Explore Tulsa.
Especially with high school playoffs getting underway. All the excitement of Friday night lights. Trish, can't you just feel the energy?
Yeah, Stevie, I can. And a guy who sees way more high school sports action than any of us combined has to be Austin Chadwick at Vype, the high school sports magazine.
You go to a school and they'll have old copies of our magazines from 10 years ago framed up on the wall when their team was on the cover. And an AD or a coach will tell me, hey, every time anybody from that team comes over, they're like, man, I remember that. We were on the cover of that magazine. So it's a cool thing, for people to kind of have forever. So Vype, the magazine, we started this back in 2005. Originally started as High School Sports, the magazine, and we started it here in Tulsa. And I was asked by some guys who wanted to invest in it. Hey, can you run it? And I didn't know what I was doing. I was 24, but we kind of figured it out. And over time now, we had to change the name for trademarking purposes back in 2007 to Vype, which is Varsity Hype. That was kind of how it came about. We originally started as a franchise, and so after I had acquired it here in Oklahoma, we went to a license model, much easier. So we've got printed magazines, and then we've got digital platforms. And as far as printing magazines and publishing, we have 8 different magazines for each region of Oklahoma. So we print and publish so many more than any of the other licenses, and it's been pretty good around the state. So there's something special about it when you can actually reference playing in the game of a backyard bowl like they do now. When in 1998 we played over at Jinx, and that was really the last time the game was played at Jinx before it got moved to Tulsa, and that was when it really started heating up at that point. And it's kind of an anomaly because I've been all over the country and I've seen so many different high schools, and even in Texas, you'll have a school or a community be really good for 5 or 6, 8 years, and then a coach moves on, and then they kind of come back to the pack. Where Union and Jinx and what they've done over the last 20 years it's astounding, and it's kind of built from the ground up. I went through the INFC as a kid. I lived that lifestyle, if you will, and it's great because even after all these years, it's been so relevant and such an important game and a rivalry. And it's still going. I mean, it's just incredible because next year they'll play it at TU and 20,000 people show up and they'll get after it, and it'll be the highest level of football in Oklahoma. So we've been around so long now in Oklahoma. We start to see generations. Some of those first round of kids that we covered back in 2005. They've had kids now that are getting to be 7, 8, 9 years old. And they're like, hey, just dropping you a line. You've got to look out for my son. I remember when you covered our game down here in Chakota or up here in Bartlesville, and so that helps highlight that. Yeah, the parents they're pretty passionate, and we always say, there's nobody has a monopoly on the passion for their kids because everybody does, and it doesn't matter if they're playing small school baseball in Peru, Oklahoma, or if they're playing big time football at Union High School. When parents call us, when we're highlighting cheerleaders and softball players and just every sport, band members, it doesn't matter. With our magazine, we don't discriminate. We'll highlight anybody. But when a parent calls us, they're the ones that kind of help us see the excitement because they know how special it is. And what's funny now is that kids that we covered back in 2005 and 2007, 2008, we see them now as adults today, and they're starting to have kids, or some of them work for us now. And so from that standpoint, they never forget it because I'll be at a University of Tulsa football game or an OU game, or I'll be anywhere around the state. And somebody will find out what I do, and they say, man, I was in that magazine when I was playing at Edmond Santa Fe or at Union High School or wherever. And so it's a lot of fun now that we've been able to do it for 13 plus years. So.